What is up, team? It's Friday afternoon, and we're going to go into a quick Mindset Friday. So, trying to really give you the tools and the strategies over the coming weeks to make sure you have some intent on the mindset, you have an intent on your overall approach to training, to make sure you have these tools in your toolbox when shit gets hard. You're always going to hit that obstacle, you're always going to hit something on the road that's going to get in the way of you feeling like you're winning, feeling like you're running along smoothly. And if it's smooth sailing, to be honest, you're doing something wrong. So what we want to do with these every week is to make sure that we're going through that process and giving you the tools moving forward so that you actually have something to think about, something to work on, and it becomes just as much of a mindset coaching as it does a physical. We're trying to make sure that you're ready to level up. And leveling up doesn't, like I said, it becomes a lot more than just a physical thing. It becomes a lot more than just easy sailing. So what I want to go through today is the 4 stages of awareness, and it's something that I think is massive in this transformation that we're going through. Obviously, trying to optimize the way you move, the way you eat, the way everything is involved in you being able to feel and look great in your own skin. But when it comes to training, this is something that really became a prime mover in why we've just made that big adjustment with the program, going through those 3 phases and really being able to be effective with our progress moving forward. So rather than slamming so much at you at once, really making sure that we can go through those steps and really feel like you're in a position where you can chip away at just being that 1% better every time. At the end of the day, you're not going to be perfect after week 1. What we're doing is highlighting so much there that maybe you've done wrong in the past, or maybe you're just completely unaware of, that we're now digging into and starting to really take control of our body and the way we move, which is a hard process. And there are going to be days that you feel frustrated with that, other days where you feel like, why can we just not do an easier way or just focus on sets and reps? But that's exactly why you're here, because we're trying to take control of our body and really become a master of this game for ourselves and what we need to adjust for our individual structure, for our individual needs and goals. So with this goal, with the awareness that I want to go through in these 4 stages, we've got the 4 stages involve a level of awareness that we have towards those stages. So obviously, as a progression, we're going to be in a level that to start with, we're unconscious about that competence. So unconsciously incompetent. We're in a position that we don't know something. So, that was you coming into the program potentially, or being in a position where you don't know why things aren't working. Maybe they're not responding, you can't feel a certain muscle or whatever else, where you don't know that it was that movement. Maybe you just thought you need to work harder, and it was in a position where you didn't really know what to look for because you didn't even know there's a problem. And that's not necessarily, this is not really you, because obviously you've identified that and you've taken action on that. But people that follow me, the people that are going through the challenge and don't take action on that, are in a position where they're not really aware that there's a problem in the first place, because they're going through the motions. They think they're making progress, or they're just making sure they show up, and they haven't really taken the time to question that point and question that ability to move forward. And to me, honestly, that feels, I don't know why you'd even get to that point, because awareness is one of the biggest skills I feel like is going to help you in anything in your life. Because if you can be aware of what's going well and what you're stuck in, then you're in a position that you can really move forward. And that's exactly why we chucked in the note sheets, because it's in a position that it really allows you to reflect on what went well and what didn't. And if you can be in that position to be critical of where you're at and really look at that as a realistic view, look at the facts, not the stories that you tell yourself, and know that position exists, then you know where to move forward from. So hopefully none of you are in that position now. You actually know that there's something that's limiting you back, rather than being in an unawareness of so many people that they're just going through the motions and wondering why it didn't work without asking those further questions. I don't know why you'd be in that position. So hopefully we're beyond that. So second one there is conscious incompetence. So we're in a position where we know that we don't know something, and we're not proficient with it yet. We're not in a position where we feel like we have control over that movement. If you're going into week 1, you're going to the phase 1, you're probably in this position. So you're now well aware of some of those positions by going through the execution videos, some of the PDFs, whatever else, to really digest that information and realize how much of a bigger thing this really is, how holistic it is, how it's a case of identifying completely a different way of approaching training rather than sets and reps. It's how you're moved, how you're structured, and overall those cues to really focus on as opposed to the reps. So it really becomes a process of understanding and identifying that there's a gap between that. And that can be a frustrating process, but honestly, that's exactly where we build character. So we're in a position where we need to be able to be comfortable with that gap. We need to be comfortable that it's a case of working away at getting better, chipping away at just improving a couple of things each week so that we're getting closer to that goal. We're not going to be perfect overnight, and going to this imperfect action is exactly where we're looking. We want to make sure we're moving forward. We want to make sure we're applying this stuff. But don't get hard on yourself because you feel like you're stuck or you feel like you're not moving forward, because the fact that you're aware of this and the fact that you actually know that there's a gap there is exactly why you're going to move. You're going to feel uncomfortable, but that's exactly why you're going to start progressing forward. So that's that position where you're going to be in those first phases. That's what you're going to be experiencing right now. I want you to know that's normal. Everyone's going to go through that in those phases. And this is something I'm going to dive into much deeper in subsequent videos. But really that idea of conscious incompetence, and it's that awareness that you are now that much further ahead than 99% of the population, because you actually know there's a missing link, and you're actually taking the steps and putting in the action, putting in the work to actually move forward. So honestly, I want to congratulate you on knowing that, really taking the time to obviously investing in yourself with your time, energy and money to move to this point. But now it's that time to just be diligent and working every day. And it's not making sure that needs to be 100% overnight. I know I'm starting to repeat myself there, but being in a position that you actually feel like you're moving forward is something that to enjoy the process. Don't start looking at that endpoint. Don't think about that unconscious, what would you call it, unconscious competence, where you're in a position where it's proficient, you don't even have to think about it, and it's nailed. Because to be honest, your body is never going to get to that position, okay? Because when we get to a level of this, so obviously we're now aware of that incompetence, we're aware of that missing link, we're now working on it, we're upgrading what we're doing, but we're never going to get to a point that everything in our body feels unconscious, because otherwise we'd be in there, we could start thinking about sets and reps. There's always going to be a muscle that's slightly off. As we go through those different frequency phases, we go through different specializations, there's going to be muscles that are firing really well, and there's going to be ones that aren't firing as well. And I'm experiencing this moment where I'm focusing on chest specialization myself, and I'm building this up, but then I feel like my lat contractions aren't quite as good, and whatever else, because my frequency on that muscle is much lower. That's personally for me, not something you need to do now, but in a position where if you go through a high volume of certain phases, you're supporting those muscles contractions. You're building this up so your body is very used to those engrams in your brains, those muscle movements, and really in a position that they become very proficient in that. So to be able to do that, then they're going to become less proficient in something else. So, if you get really good at running, your strength is obviously going to go down. It's kind of it's making sure that there's an equilibrium at some level. Not everything can just get great at the same time. So there's always going to be a level of upgrading and sacrifice and upgrading and working on something here and there. So the next two phases there being conscious competence and unconscious competence is in a position where those are the ones that we're trying to get you at. We're trying to get you to the point where there's going to be certain muscles just feel rock solid. You don't have to worry about those cues so much. You're going to be in a position where you can really lock things in. You don't really have to think about it much. You just put in the work and you're really moving forward. And that really feels like you're in control. But what I'm saying is it's not going to be for every muscle group. There's always going to be a position that you're conscious of that lack of skill or a position where there's still a weakness or something you need to work on. But if we can get you into those next two phases, honestly, that's where that mastery comes in, because it's a constant upgrading of where we're at, constant pushing of that envelope to make sure that we're improving the way we feel, how we're approaching those workouts, how we're approaching that mindset towards the whole thing, because we want to still be conscious, we still want to be present with what we're doing and moving forward. So we've got out of phase one, we're taking action, we know that there's a gap. We didn't know there was a gap, and we've now identified that. So we're in number two. We're actually conscious about that gap. We're working on that each stage, and that's the big one I wanted to cover today, is just to make sure that as you go through those phases, you are improving, you're not being hard on yourself, and you're just putting in that 1% every day. Once we get past that, we get to a point where you actually feel quite proficient in that, you feel like you're in a position where you're moving forward, you're going to move between the unconscious and conscious of this competence, where you feel like you're in a position that you're really nailing the movements. Sometimes you really have to think about it, sometimes it just works, but we're in a position where we really feel like we're mastering that skill and we're in control of that stuff. So I hope that's really helpful, identifying those 4 stages of awareness and really understanding that it's okay to be aware of this stuff, and it's okay to be slightly disgruntled about that, because you're now opening yourself up to a whole new world of control and mastery of this whole process. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Again, I want to try to get this stuff short. We're under 10 minutes, we're doing okay. So really work on that stuff. Make sure that you're keeping yourself in a position where you feel like you're moving forward, you're chipping it away, but you're not trying to aim for perfection. It's that just imperfect action, keep moving forward, keep applying your stuff, and just making sure that you're the 1% better every day.